Want to be happy? Build a life, not just a business. Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and this channel was created to help you overcome the #1 challenge that is holding you back, a lack of belief in yourself. You watch these videos because you know there's something more inside you too. You've got Michael Jordan level genius at something. So today, let's live your best believe life and get some incredible motivation from the one and only Les Brown.
One of the things I have realized, and many of us have, that if you want something out of life, if you want to change yourself, if you want to acquire something, if there's some goal that you want to reach, that is really not easy as some people will make us feel. That living your dream, changing your behaviors, overcoming negative habits, it's challenging. It's hard. That living alone is just very difficult. And once we begin to come to grips with the fact that living is difficult, life is very challenging. I heard a song once by a guy named Dimples called, "If It Ain't One Thing, It's Another." I say to you, if it ain't one thing, it's 12 others. Always something. You will never ever have a problem-free moment in life. Somebody said, and I like this, that you either in a problem or just left one or headed toward one. Anybody found that to be so? Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about. I mean, there's always something. So how do we begin to nurture that hunger? What are the characteristics or the qualities of people that are hungry? What will it take for me to get some of the things that I want? And being hungry for those things. Number one, you've got to work on yourself. It's very important that you engage in an ongoing process to develop you. Spend more time on yourself than what you've been spending. It's very important. You owe that to yourself. I was reading a book by Og Mandino called The University of Success. Read one line, gave me a chill. I didn't have to read anything else in the book. He said, many of us never realize our greatness because we become sidetracked by secondary activity. We spread ourselves too thin, don't know how to say no. And we find ourselves doing all kinds of things and never ever have time to do those things that we need to do to work on ourselves. And then there goes a second, there goes another second, there goes another second, and we can't stop and hold time. And before you know it, you wake up one day and you're behind on your dreams and your bills. So decide that you're going to take some time to work on you, that you deserve that from yourself, that your life deserves some prime time because you are creating your own production. As Michael Todd would say, you are the star of your show. You are the director. You're writing the script. And you will determine whether your life is a smash office hit or flop. You determine that.
I'm saying this is a time more than ever that you want to begin to inoculate yourself with positive words, coming to conventions, showing up on meetings, being on the calls, to make yourself unstoppable, to get out of your mind the polluting negative thoughts that's causing most people to go through life being stuck because they're volunteer victims. Somebody said that many people die at age 25 and don't get buried until they're 65 because they got so much garbage in their minds. You are here because you've got a clear vision of what you want and where you're going. Give yourselves a round of applause. Come on, bring your energy level up. Yes, yes. You want more. You want more. You're different. You're different than everybody else. Don't worry if they don't get it. Don't try and convince people to do this business. A person convinced against their will is of the same opinion still. You are not like everybody else. You can walk outside and find pigeons, but if you're looking for eagles, it's going to take you a minute. You are different. It's lonely at the top. How many of you know it's lonely at the top? Raise your hands. It's lonely at the top, but you eat better. That's what I'm talking about. You're different. One great entrepreneur said, I choose not to be a common man. It's my right to be uncommon if I can. I seek opportunity, not security. I do not wish to be a kept citizen, humbled and dulled by having the state look after me. I want to take the calculated risk, to dream and to build, to fail and to succeed. I refuse to live from hand to mouth. I prefer the challenges of life to the guaranteed existence, the thrill of fulfillment to the still calm of utopia. I will never cower before any master, nor bend to any threat. It's my heritage to stand erect, proud and unafraid, to face the world boldly and say, this I have done. You showed up because you're building a business that you can stand and say, I did this. I did this. This is my dream. Give yourselves a round of applause. Yes, 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 yes.
We live in a world where we're told more about our limitations rather than our potential. How many of you have ever been told that you couldn't do something? Raise your hands, please. You know, MIT did a study that if I say to you, you can't do that, that 16 people have to come along and say, you can do that, you can do that, you can do that, to neutralize that, and the 17th statement that you hear, you can do it, will be the one that will finally stick. So you have to watch who's speaking into you. You've got to begin to monitor your mind. And you've got to begin to literally be proactive in programming yourself to success. Be ye not conformed to this world. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. You've got to take responsibility to make that happen. And as you begin to do that, you'll begin to see some incredible changes in your life. I understand now when Earl Nightingale said, all of us are self-made, but only the successful will admit it. As you begin to look at your dreams and look at your goals, write this down. Make know you're a vitamin. See, most people stop short of their dreams and park and get off the highway of life because of the rejections of life. You will always be rejected. It's no big deal. Jack Canfield said rejection is a myth. It's not like when somebody says no and then they slap you. No, it's just, to me, make know you're a vitamin. Get excited about the no. Why? Because every time someone says no, that brings you another step to a yes. You're getting closer. Trust me, you will win if you don't quit. You will win if you don't quit. Even a broke clock is right twice a day.
If you constantly remind yourself after every defeat, after every setback, every time you get knocked down, I've got a saying, if life knocks you down, try and land on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up. See, a lot of people, because of failure, they stop believing. Let me share something with you. You will fail your way to success. Yes, 8 out of 10 millionaires have been financially bankrupt. You will fail your way to success. It doesn't matter how many times you fail. It doesn't matter how many times people tell you that you can't do it. It doesn't matter if you don't have a dime in the bank. You will fail your way to success.
Here's what I discovered that happens to you in life, that you will go through things, and while you're going through them, you can't understand why it's happening to you. But after you go through it and you get back and you look at it and you say, oh, now I understand why I needed that lesson. Have you ever happened to you? Raise your hand. Has it ever happened to you that I couldn't understand it then, but after I got through it, then I saw that that was preparing me for bigger and better things. That as you go through the challenges of life and you look at it and embrace whatever comes to you, don't run from it, step toward it. Don't try and duck it like most people do. See, most people want it easy. See, easy come, easy what? Easy go. See, but when you go at what you're going to deal with and you deal with the difficulties of it, when you handle those hard things close at hand, making those hard decisions right now that you don't want to make, learning those things that you don't like to do, but you know that in order for you to get where you want to go, this is one of the hoops that you have to flip through. And I'm saying to you, whatever you got to do, do it, because if you don't, life is going to whoop you until you surrender and say, okay, all right, I cooperate, okay, I learned, okay. It had to wear me out a long time. So if it's hard, then do it hard. I want you to look at something right now. Think of some major goal you want, or maybe it's one you're already working on and you have experienced
a lot of setbacks, a lot of defeats. You've experienced a lot of disappointment. Maybe you've already given up. And maybe you just need a little fire, a little encouragement to get back in the game again. Here's what I want you to look at. There are winners, and there are losers, and there are people who have not discovered how to win. And all they need is some coaching. All they need is some help and assistance, just a little support. All they need is some insight or a different strategy, a plan of action to make some adjustments that will open up the key to a whole new future for them, that will give them access to the unlimited power that they have within themselves. That's all that they need. So what I want you to do is think about something you want for you, that's real for you, that's important for you, that will give your life some special meaning and power. And I don't even want you to say, I can do that. I don't want you to assume that. See, 5 years ago, when I started out in this area, I would not have been able to make the mental leap that I would be up to where I am right now. I don't want you to begin to just psych yourself out. No. I want you to be able to say something to yourself that will enable you to maintain a level of integrity with yourself. That when you say this, even when you face tremendous setbacks, it will be a benchmark to keep you in the game, to keep you moving forward and experimenting and readjusting your strategy and your plan of action, continuously looking for ways to win. So what is that something? When you got an idea you want to move on, you might not have the money, you might not have the education, you might not have the support or the resources you need. What is that something that can keep us going, that will enable us to act on our dream? What's one of those keys that will begin to help us to discover the secrets to our dream? Here's what I want you to repeat after me, please, with power and conviction. Say, it's possible. It's possible. That's all I want you to do when you look at your dream. Just say to yourself every day, it's possible. Just say that every day to yourself, it's possible. Because what does that do? See, it begins to change your belief system. See, the way in which we operate, ladies and gentlemen, it's a manifestation of what we believe, what's possible for us. Whatever you've done up to this point, all that it really is a duplication, it's a reproduction of what you believe subconsciously that you deserve and what's possible for your life. Before April 1954, the common belief, the universal belief, because it had been tried again and again and again, and people had failed, the belief was that man was not physically capable of breaking the 4-minute barrier, that he could not run a mile in less than 4 minutes. That was the belief on the planet. It had never been done. But here's what happened, ladies and gentlemen. Roger Bannister came along, and he broke the 4-minute barrier. Now, here's what's significant about that. Since that time, up to this day, over 20,000 people have done it, including high school kids. What changed? 20,000 people, what changed? Here's what happened when they got on the track. They knew it had been done. And because they knew it had been done, there was a new belief about this barrier, about this goal that was unreachable. And those 20,000 people got in a race believing, knowing in their heart that someone had done it, that it's possible, that they could do it. And I'm saying that if you know anybody that had some goal, some dream, something they wanted to do, and they did it, then I'm saying that you know in your heart that if someone has done it, then you can do it. It's possible. And that if someone can make their dream become a reality, that it's possible that you can make your dream become reality.
Today, in order for us to make it, even before the coronavirus, the suicide rate in America had increased by 32%. Today, in order for us to make it, we have to create what we're doing now, collaborative, achievement-driven, supportive relationships. One of the major issues we're facing right now is loneliness. And one of the major determinants of a long life, I thought it would be plant-based diet or becoming a vegetarian or a vegan or exercise. It's positive social relationships. That's the main factor. I have a son who suffers from a mental illness, bipolar. Mm-hmm. And many times, like during this period in the last few months, he has decided he didn't want to take his medication. I don't care how old your kids become. He's 35. They're always your children. So not only does it keep me up at night, but it keeps me singing a song. You about to make me lose my mind. Up in here, up in here. You about to make me act a fool up in here. I remember one night somebody called me and say, "Are you on Facebook?" I said, "No." Go to your son's Facebook, and he on there saying, "I spent more money on marijuana than I have on self-development. I'm Mrs. Mamie Brown's grandson." Let me tell you something. I needed some weed after watching him. So, the book of life said, "Think it not strange that you're faced in fiery furnaces in this world." It has been a humbling experience that I've been able to motivate and inspire young men around the world. And my son looked like I had him by myself, that I can't reach him. And so I have learned, Lord, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change. I can't change him. The courage to change the things that I can. I can change how I react, how I respond, and the courage to know the difference. And so I've learned to discipline myself to let go and let God. And once letting go, don't go back to God and get it. Just give it to Him.
Yes.
That our kids come through us, but they come from God. And learn to surrender. Life is about surrendering and releasing. And I've learned the discipline to do that. But it hasn't been easy.
How can people that are listening to this now, especially if they're an adult that's got all those labels put on them, that's had their creativity squished, what process do they do to hear the voice? What sort of communion can they do to create that imagination that's going to allow them to get out of that and move towards something new?
That's the reason why you designed this program, you and your team, for them to do that they have to expose themselves to something that will give them a different vision of themselves. And in addition to that, they have to put themselves in a community of what I call OQP, only quality people. A gentleman who dramatically transformed my life, I was a junior at Booker T. Washington High School in Miami, Florida, and I went in his class looking for another friend, and he said, "Go to the board and work this problem out for me." I said, "Sir, I can't do that." He said, "Why not?" I said, "I'm not one of your students." He said, "Do it anyhow." And the other kids started laughing, saying, "He's Leslie, he's DT." And he said, "What's DT?" His brother is smart, but he's the dumb twin. And I said, "I am, sir." And he came from behind his desk and he pointed at me. He said, "Don't you ever say that again. Someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality." And he taught me three things. He said, if you want to become successful in life, young man, he said, number one, you got to change your mindset. He said, you don't get in life what you want, you get in life what you are. Number two, practice OQP. Only quality people. You earn within $2,000 to $3,000 of your closest friends. I found that out. I left all my broke friends. I say, y'all got to go. Because I used to be so broke, I'd pass a bank and trip the alarm, you know? And the third thing he said, develop your communication skills, because once you open your mouth, you tell the world who you are. He said, those are three major things that you want to work on that will liberate you from living in Liberty City, living in poverty in Overtown. It will help to escape out of where you are right now, because I see you watching me and I know you want more. I can see the hunger in your eyes. That's why my book is about to come out called You Gotta Be Hungry.
How do you build that resilience. So maybe by the time you get to cancer, you've already done so much work. So I get maybe how that one you're protected by the mechanisms you've built. But in the beginning, how did you crawl out from under the labels that people were putting on you?
The easiest thing I've done was to get out from under the labels and to live the life that I live. The most difficult thing I've ever done was to believe that I can do it.
What's the difference?
The difference is that when you don't know what's impacting you, and it's something that's holding you down and you're not aware of it. The great anthropologist Margaret Mead was in a restaurant in London, and a guy was serving her and said, "There's several Americans here tonight." And she said, "Is that right?" "Yeah." So let me know when you serve them dessert. I'll tell you exactly how many are here. He said, "Oh, you couldn't possibly." And so he came back and said, "Okay, I've done it." And she got up and she walked around and she came back and she said, "There are around 25 here." And he looked at the roster. "How did you know that?" Say, "In America, we eat differently from you when we eat a dessert. You eat it from the crust toward the tip. We eat it from the tip toward the crust. When you eat a slice of pie, how do you eat yours?"
Definitely, yeah, from the tip back to the crust, for sure.
Yeah, okay, and so there are things that when you, in my situation, when you live in a dominant culture that is designed to destroy your sense of self and your belief in yourself, and you have to learn ways in which you can begin to connect with this power that you have within yourself to handle where you are. The key is to be constantly in a perpetual process of discovering the truth of who you are and fighting constantly to look for ways in which you can escape the inner conversation. I speak to audiences around the world, and I train speakers as well, and I tell them that when you speak, that there's an objective that you want to achieve when you speak to an audience, because how people live their lives is a result of the story they believe about themselves. So you as a speaker, when you speak in this program, when people see you, what you do is distract, dispute, and inspire. You distract people from their current story with your guests and the questions that you ask. Through the process of the ongoing questioning and the way in which they respond and the things they have learned, you dismantle their current belief system and inspire them to create a new chapter with their lives. And so, but that's an ongoing process of constantly interrupting that conversation, what psychologists call your self-explanatory style, because life is going to beat up on you in so many ways, and many things, they come back, negative thoughts and how you feel about yourself, they don't die. They come back once you stop doing the maintenance work on your mind. We have to believe in ourselves, and that's an ongoing process, engaging in things that will help us to believe in ourselves, because we are cultivated in a world where we're told more about our limitations rather than our potential. And so faith comes by hearing and hearing and hearing. And so we have to constantly go to seminars, go to workshops, listen to audio programs, and read books that will help to expand our vision of ourselves, of what's possible for us. In life, what we're doing right now, it is, to me, an experiment with life. There's so much noise in this world, and most people never achieve their goals because of the noise, because it is so distracting. One of my students, her name is Stacy N.C. Grant, and she wrote a book called Action, Action, Despite the Distractions. And so what most people do, they stop and they look around. The reason that Lot was saying, don't look back, is because you become paralyzed when you allow yourself to be distracted and seduced by the noise of life, that you have to discipline yourself. The road to life is straight and narrow, and few there be that find it, because few there be that are willing to focus their minds. Where focus goes, energy flows. Few there be that are willing to discipline themselves. And as a result, most people allow their dreams, their potential, their goals to be derailed because they take their eyes off of what it is that they're after.
Responsibility to me it's about understanding and knowing that you have the power to control your destiny, that it's about living your life from a place of creation, that most people go through life doing what I call living their lives as volunteer victims. When you take responsibility for your life, it's about knowing that you have to develop yourself, that you don't get in life what you want, you get in life what you are. You have to develop your mind, you have to develop your skills, you have to have a talent, ability that you are cultivating so that you can create value for the world with what it is you have, with your gift.
Just think about if you were an immigrant and you're watching television and you see people who can come from white cultures with no problems whatsoever, like the president's in-laws, but brown people coming from other countries, they're separated from their children and put in cages, and there's a silence. There's not millions of people protesting and saying, this is not who we are as a country. This is inhumane. I believe that all of us have a responsibility that we want to live a life that will outlive us, the work that you're doing. There are people that you will never meet, whose lives that you've transformed, that you're living a life that will outlive you. Just think about the fact that this program has given a lot of people hope, and there's hope in the future. It gives you power in the present. Every 40 seconds, someone commits suicide. But because of something you say or some guest that you've invited, and as they share their story, you interrupt that story of being hopeless and powerless and not wanting to be here anymore. And because they took the time to watch, you create an experience. Oliver Wendell Holmes said that once a man or woman's mind has been expanded with an idea, concept, or experience, it can never be satisfied to going back to where it was. And so at the end of the program, at the end of one of your presentations, there are people who, because of you, their lives will be transformed, and they will become a pencil, as Mother Teresa would say, in the hand of God, and start writing a new chapter with their lives. If you do what is hard, your life will be easy. But if you do what is easy, your life will be hard.
Uh-huh.
Yes. And so most people go through life avoiding the hard stuff. And the hard things in life, those are the lessons in life. That's where the growth takes place. That's where you meet a part of yourself that you don't know now. And to get through that, it takes prayer, it takes persistence, it takes perseverance, and a willingness not to give up regardless of what.
So I went to the next mode necessary to start talking to people and seeking and asking for what I wanted and leveraging relationships and trying to find out, how did the people do it that went ahead of me? How do they do it? And then what is it I need to do? How is it I need to train myself, to develop myself? What's the resources that will be required in order to make it happen? And as I start seeking out and asking questions, I started running into people who said, I know someone who can help you do that. And they helped me get connected with those people. Remember, we have so much energy that can take us so far. It's necessary that you hook up with some other energy that can take you to the next level. I hooked up with them. They said, let's go. I said, away we go. And guess what? Here we are. I love it. You want your stuff? It's necessary you take responsibility for it, that you make it happen, that you don't give up, that you don't take any objection or disappointment or defeats personally, that you keep on keeping on, that you don't decide that I can't make it because you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, that you realize that's a part of the program. And here's something you've got to resolve. Say this to yourself every day. See, as long as you're breathing, you got a shot at your dream. That's the way I resolve. Say this, please. It's not over until I win. You got that right. It's not over till I win. Not over till I get through. It's not over till I get over. Not over till I get what I want. Door can't open today, look out. I'm going to come back and take the hinges off. That's how you got to do that. You've got to have that kind of courage, that type of determination. If you want to make it happen, it's you. That you've got to take personal responsibility to make it happen.
Is there anything that you wish you didn't do?
Yes. I wish I had not waited 14 years. Somebody said if you want to lose something, lose money. You can get that back. 8 out of 10 millionaires have been financially bankrupt. Walt Disney filed bankruptcy 7 times and had 2 nervous breakdowns. But don't lose time. There were 14 years I sat on the sideline. 14 years I said, I don't have an investor in me like Tony Robbins. 14 years that said, I don't have an MBA or a PhD, and I can't compete with these guys. I have the complexion of rejection. 14 years I silenced myself. Wow. And so I regret that, because there's some people that maybe if they'd heard my voice, they would not have turned to drugs. If they'd heard my voice, their lives would have taken a different direction. And I can't get those 14 years back. That haunts me, and I think that drives me when I speak with such energy. I'm trying to make up for that time.
I think that the people that are discovering how to unleash their greatness are people who have the mental resiliency and the courage to face failure, that you will fail your way to greatness. That most people allow their fear of failure, 80% allow their fear of failure to outweigh their desire to succeed. When you're willing to fail again and again and again, when you make up your mind to become unstoppable, when you make up your mind to become a no matter what person, then that will then give birth to a part of yourself that you don't know right now.
I think most businesses fail. Most brands never make it. Most people never reach their greatness because they don't know how to tell their story.
Yes, that's major.
What will you be sharing with the audience? Because look, man.
Let me just share with you why the story is important. Yes. Why the story is important is because when you speak, if you're selling, you're an entrepreneur, you got a product, you have an expertise, knowledge is a new currency. People are asking 3 questions. Who are you? What do you have? And why should I care? And so if you don't answer that, because we know people do business with
what, why?
Who are you? What do you have? And why should I care? People do business with people they know, like, and trust. And when you can answer that, now you're building a rapport and a connection that creates the possibility where you can do business together and help each other go to that next level.
The first time I stood up to speak, I stood up and my mind sat down. I choked. I couldn't remember anything. When I spoke in the Georgia Dome, I went to the bathroom 7 times. Did I tell you 7 is my lucky number? They knocked on the door. Brownie. I said, what is it? Come out, man. Dexter Yeager, they're pausing now because it's time for you. And I made a mistake. I looked out at the audience and I panicked. I said, Mike, I don't hear the voices. I'm scared. He said, Brownie, they came to see you. You didn't come to see them. He said, come out. You'll hear the voices. I said, I don't know, Mike. I've been trying. I just don't know. I'm scared. And he said, just be scared and do it anyhow. Don't speak. I said, I don't have to speak? He said, no. I said, then what will I do? He said, just tell a story. Tell a story of where you are, about what you're going through, and about the goal and dream for buying your mother a home. And so my vision of myself, of wanting to buy her a home and be able to provide for her. And I did that. I bought 4 different homes before she passed. That drove me. And so I think it's important that people find something that gives their life a sense of meaning and value that drives them, that becomes their magnificent obsession.
And what do you say to someone who are saying, oh, nobody around me are believing in me?
And that's okay. If you have that, that's great. If you don't have it,
It's okay. I, for years, read books of people who I didn't know, but I considered them as my personal mentors. I studied Winston Churchill, who said, the truth is incontrovertible. Malice may attack it, ignorance may deride it, but at the end, there it is. I studied Earl Nightingale, who said, all of us get in life what we are, not what we want. All of us are self-made, but only the successful will admit it. So I studied these people, and they mentored to me. I feel their spirits. I surrounded myself in my bed with their books and their audio, in my imagination, and listening to their audio programs. Yes. So how much does the library card cost? It's free in the United States. I don't know what in your country. So I suggest that you spend time working on yourself. Study the high achievers. I did that to find out how did they get there. I studied the life of Frederick Douglass, who said we won't get everything that we fight for, but everything we get, it will be a fight. And so as you study these people and imagine yourself in their position and in your mind's eye, say to yourself, as I did, if they can do it, I can do it. They put their pants on one leg at a time. They breathe air just as I do. And so I believe that what you focus on the longest becomes the strongest. What we think about, we bring about. When you train your mind to serve you by reading a minimum of 20 to 60 pages a day, listening to audio programs, writing goals down, reading them 3 times a day, you're literally creating a new mental blueprint and imagining and seeing yourself already living from the goal. You begin to do some things that most people look at and see as magical. There's no secret to success. There's a system to success. And no matter what organization you become a part of, the system works if you work it. If you don't work it, it won't work. But it works if you work it. And that's one 4-letter word that most people don't like. They're not willing to work. I have a friend who invited me to her brother's house to help him to get off drugs, to introduce him to a drug program that can help him. And I said, these people can help you, but you've got to be willing to do the work. And after we finished, he asked us to leave. And I'll never forget what she said. As we were going down the steps, she said, Les, I do apologize for wasting your time, but I realized when my brother knew that it would require work for him to get off drugs, that most people won't participate in their own rescue. And there are people who will be presented with an opportunity, who know that they could be laid off at any moment, who know that there's no such thing as job security, who know that them keeping their job has nothing to do with how good they are. And yet and still, they'll go to work and have knots in their stomachs, hoping when they open up an email that they have not been told this is your last day. They'll go to work hoping there's not a security guard standing by their desk with a box and say, empty your things in here and take them to the front door and escort them to the parking lot. They go in there hoping it doesn't happen. Why? Because they don't want to do the work. It's an aversion to most people's spirit.
I mean, look, you and I'm sure you do, and I'm transparent, so I'll talk about this. I know I'm at the, closer to the end of my career than the beginning of it.
I don't think so.
No?
No, because part of delivering this message, when you're in alignment with your purpose, I believe that gives you more time on the universe. Let's look at me. I'm 72, but I don't look it. I don't have a 72-year-old energy. And there's a difference between that physiological age and that spiritual age. And I think when you're in alignment and doing what you're supposed to do that pleasures God, it keeps you young. You have the energy of a 20-year-old. That allows you to be
But I mean, there's going to be a time when you and I are not live in these bodies on a stage.
Without any question. Okay. And I'm not looking forward to that.
Les Brown.
And one of the things I say to people, don't discount yourself. I didn't do what I'm doing now for 14 years because I didn't believe being labeled educable mentally retarded, failing in the 5th grade, put back to the 4th grade, and no college education, that I can compete
with people with PhDs and MBAs. And so for 14 years, a lot of people say they have no regrets. The biggest regret that I have, that I disapproved of myself for 14 years. And then, there's a coincidence, it's God's way of staying anonymous. I went to a training and a guy was speaking. And Mike Williams had already said, hey, Brownie, you know why you go see Zig Ziglar and Dr. Robert Schuller and Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, who wrote The Power of Positive Thinking? I said, because I like the message. He said, no. He said, you like to help people. That's in you. You're always holding court here at the radio station. And you got a funny laugh, man. I said, I do? He said, yes. And so he just kept saying that to me. And I was at an event, and a guy was speaking, and it just stopped like a spell came over him. He said, there's somebody here who should be doing this. He said, I do it because I make a lot of money. And he said, I love to make money. He said, but you want to change lives, and you can make money too, young man, young lady. And he said, you know who you are. And then he paused again. He said, the reason I'm standing up here holding this microphone and you are seated out there, I represent the thoughts you have rejected for yourself. That hit me right between the eyes. I began to cry. At that time, this is in 1980. I went outside. I called Mike Williams. The telephone call was a dime then. I said, Mike. He said, yes. I said, I'm not rejecting myself anymore. Do you hear me? He said, Brownie, calm down. Listen to me, man. I'm not rejecting myself anymore.
Dr. Alfred Golson, who has since passed, was a very unusual guy. And he told me, he said, Mr. Brown, you have cancer. I said, can you give me a second opinion? He said, yes, and you're ugly too. I said, oh my God. So I didn't have a chance to have fear because, those three words, you have cancer, three of the most feared words in 7 different languages. I saw it as a fight. And from that time to this time, my PSA was 2,400. And that stands for prostate-specific antigen, and now it's below 0 and metastasized to 7 areas of my body, which was a good thing because 7 is my lucky number. Okay, so I never was fearful that I was going to die from it, and I think that I read something by Dr. Norman Cousins. He wrote a book called The Biology of Hope, and he talked about the fact that when something happens to you, you don't deny it, you defy it. And I was defiant that I'm going to beat this, I'm going to handle this, that there are people who many times when something happens to them, that they embrace it from a place of fear and it takes them out. And L.C. Robinson said, things may happen to you and things may happen around you, but the most important things are the things that happen in you. And you have to stand up inside yourself and deal with it and handle it.
My mission in life has been, and still is to give people a vision of themselves beyond their mental conditioning and their circumstances, to let them know that they have greatness within them. But Han, greatness, it's not our destiny. It's a choice that you have to make every day. You have to put yourself in a state of perpetual discomfort in order to manifest your greatness. You've got to reach outside of your comfort zone. So every day I look forward to the opportunity to inspire people to reach higher, to understand and know that what they've done is only a tip of the iceberg of what's possible for them. The key to being a loser.
Yeah, very important.
Is not loving and appreciating yourself.
Okay.
And allowing what other people think of you become more important to you than what you think of yourself.
Wow. It's a new advice. Great key.
Yeah. That we were born to do something. You're here to do a work. The 2 most important moments in our lives, it's been said, the day that we're born and the day that we realize why we were born. And if you don't know, if you want to live a life of misery, don't try and find out. But if you want to live a life that has meaning and value and a sense of direction, spend as much time as you possibly can to answer the question, why am I here?
And not
So you wonder yourself a lot of
yes,
time.
yes. So don't ask what is the meaning of life. Ask what is the meaning of my life. What am I supposed to do? What is this work that I was chosen? That God saw something in you. That you were chosen 1 out of 400 million sperm. He saw something in David. What was it that he saw? He saw something in Judy. He saw something in Les. There was something that caused us to be here. And I believe there's a work for us to do. That there's something that if we don't do it, that the world will be deprived. And finding out what that something is, that element, the element is when what you love to do and what you were born to do come together that will allow you to show up in life in a bigger way. I always do a needs assessment. When I'm training speakers, I tell them, don't assume you know. Each audience is a different type of personality. Each area of industry, if you want to go big, if you want to speak globally, you want to become an expert on the audience. You got to learn and you got to study them so that you can have the versatility and flexibility to speak to any type of audience with your story and be able to transform them individually and collectively. And that impact will drive your income and your requests. The average speaker get around 25 to 30 requests a year. I get over 3,000 because of using that principle. And many of the speakers that I've trained now, and some of them have passed me using the same technique and strategies and have made millions of dollars. I believe that all of us are born unique, but most of us die copies. You got to find out what is it that turns you on, what resonates with you. One of the things that I realized and what allowed me to become successful as a speaker, the speaking industry has been hijacked by people who speak to sell, and it's okay to do that and make money. I speak to change lives because somebody spoke and change my life. So this is my passion. This is my drive. This is something that I feel in my heart. And so the key to that hunger-driven life is a heart-centered life. I didn't do what I'm doing for years because of my programming, because of the culture in which I was raised in. I would see other people with degrees and PhDs and MBAs and credentials I don't have, and I convinced myself I couldn't do it. But Mr. Washington, on that day, we became friends, and he taught me not only someone's opinion of you does not have to determine your reality. He said that you have to work on yourself and you have to have an unstoppable attitude, and no excuse is acceptable, and you got to make it a priority, a non-negotiable in your life, and hold a constant vision of what it is you want to achieve. See it accomplished and go all out. Find a way to win. In spite of the setbacks, in spite of the disappointments, in spite of your failures.
The biggest leadership gap in our generation is the unwillingness by the majority of people to see the value of perpetually learning. That we have to be willing to commit ourselves to what Alvin Toffler talked about, to unlearn, learn, and relearn. Because today, innovation creates new ignorance. And new ignorance can only be eliminated by education. Knowledge is the new currency. And so as we look at ourselves, look at our goals and dreams, we must continuously upgrade our knowledge so that we can stay ahead of artificial intelligence. Part of what allowed me to break through that the speaking industry with the Good Old Boys Network, and they were going around, the speakers were giving speeches and regurgitating information, as you are aware, from the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Yes. Well, my mentor, Mike Williams, who wrote the book called The Road to Your Best Stuff, The Road to Your Best Stuff, he said, Brownie, if information could change people, everybody would be skinny, rich, and happy.
Yes.
Yeah, so what I do and how I train speakers is to use your story to create an experience. Oliver Wendell Holmes said that once a man or woman's mind has been expanded with an idea, concept, or experience, it can never be satisfied to going back to where it was. So you attract the attention, and with an experience that you create, the experience of your customer, the experience that you're able to create, and that interaction with the people that you want to attract, that you then direct that attention. And there's a reason that Steve Jobs said the storyteller is the most powerful person in the world. And he knew that. Here's a guy to talk about a product, and people have set up camp outside the store for 2 and 3 days, sleeping outside to get something they haven't laid hands on. They just heard the story about it. Khalil Gibran, in the book called The Prophet, he said, more than thirst and hunger, humans need stories.
To me, success is living a life of service. It's thinking about how is it that my life can be an instrument to leave the world in better shape than how I found it. It's what is it that I can do, that I can give to others, that I bring? If it's my music, if it's my artwork, if it's my words, if it's living a life of a Mother Teresa, if it's one of Winston Churchill, if it's a President Barack Obama, it's about making an impact with your life. To me, of being of service to humanity. That to me, doing something that's a passion of yours, that you feel in your heart. Where the heart is, there your treasure is also. That to me is living a life of success.
One of the things I emphasize, that changing is not easy. That changing your life, changing habits, reinventing yourself, picking yourself up after life has knocked you flat on your back. I've got to say, when life knocked you down, try and land on your back, because if you could look up, you could get up. Well, that sounds cute, but that's not easy. When I was diagnosed with prostate cancer 17 years ago, that first time that happened, I said, hey, I can handle this. Then when it came back a year later, last year, 17 years later, and this time it metastasized to 7 areas of my body and ate 40% of my T1 vertebrae. Now the stakes are higher. It's this life saying, okay, Mr. Motivator, you beat cancer the first time. What you gonna do now? I started laughing. When the doctor told me, he said, why are you laughing? Are you in denial? I says, no. I said, I feel like Mother Teresa. He said, what do you mean? She said, Lord, I know you know how much I can bear. I just wish you to have so much confidence in me. I said, the stakes are higher. So I've got to dig in and got to fight more, because at the end of the day, life is a fight for territory. And once you stop fighting for what you want, what you don't want will automatically take over. And so it's a fight. It's a challenge in life every day. And what we have to do is embrace it. What we have to do is see it as a project to be worked on. I read something once that I live by. It said, in life, you will always be faced with a series of God-ordained opportunities, brilliantly disguised as problems and challenges. And so I see even cancer as a gift, as a God-ordained opportunity.
The things that affect most people that they don't even realize. I did not know that my relationships affected me. My mother said, Leslie, if you run around with 9 broke people, I guarantee you'll become number 10. Okay, so, well, come to find out, Mama was right. She only had a 3rd grade education, but studies indicate by MIT that you earn within $2,000 to $3,000 of your closest friends. So poverty and living a mediocre life is communicated mind to mind. And so your relationships can hold you down or they can lift you up. So I teach people to practice the principle of OQP, only quality people. Dr. Dennis Kimbrough said, if you're the smartest one in your group, you need to get a new group. And so it's very important that people upgrade their relationships.
When I speak, it's not about me. My prayer is more of thee, less of me. I'm encouraging people who are serious about speaking. Don't just do it for the money. You can make a lot of money. I earn more in 1 hour than 90% of the American public earn working for 5 years. But when you find something that you love, you will study it,
something that you love that becomes a difference between being in speaking and speaking being in you, that you will become not just confident, but you will become competent on that.
As you begin to challenge yourself, you'll discover some things about yourself that you don't know right now. The other thing is you begin to look at yourself, look at your dreams, and begin to experiment and stepping into your greatness. One of the things that's very important, whatever goals and dreams that you have, repeat after me, please. Make your move before you're ready. You have Price Pritchett, who's a great motivator and trainer. He said, make your move before you're ready. We're instructed in life to walk by faith and not by sight. See, you want to really begin to stretch yourself. You want to become a risk taker. You want to raise the bar on yourself. Most people won't do that. See, most people engage in low life living, low risk living. Viscott said, if you're not willing to risk, you cannot grow. And if you cannot grow, you cannot become your best. And if you cannot become your best, you can't be happy. And if you can't be happy, then what else is there? I like what Helen Keller said. Life is short and unpredictable. Eat the dessert first. And so you want to begin to take some chances. You want to begin to challenge yourself and make it okay to fail and learn from your failures. Don't allow fear of failure and the allure, the attractiveness of playing it safe in life to draw you in. You can't get out of life alive. You got to die to leave here.
Success to me is doing that which resonates with your heart, that provides some quality of service to others. When you're doing that, in my life, I help people to change their lives. And when I do that, love, happiness, and inspiration are perfumes you can't sprinkle on others without getting a few drops on yourself.
Talk to me about the value of a coach, having a coach, and having a mentor.
I'm glad you asked that question, because my children, they don't understand. Daddy, why do you pay Mike Williams money every month as a coach? You're Les Brown. You've selected among the top 5 speakers in the world. You're recognized as number 1. You earn $70,000 an hour when you speak in the United States. You earn 225,000 pounds when you speak outside of the United States. Why do you pay him every month? And I said, Serena Williams is the most dominant tennis player on the planet, and she never goes out on the court without her coach, because you can't read the label when you're locked in the box. You don't even want someone coaching you unless they have a coach. And I have a coach because there are things that a coach can see that you can't see when you're under fire, when you're going through the stuff. And you have to have somebody with a trained eye and experience that you've developed a collaborative, achievement-driven, supportive relationship with that will allow you to navigate the storms of life. And when life staggers you, that can help you get back in the game again and do the rope-a-dope and Muhammad Ali shuffle.
The imagination is a preview of what's to come. And so as a kid, I dreamed a lot about taking care of my mother. I used to go with her to work to clean homes, and she kept her children, and she cooked for these wealthy families. My mother could bake a sweet potato pie so good you couldn't eat it with your shoes on. You had to take your shoes off so you could wiggle your toes. And I used to look at these big, beautiful mansions and said, Mama, what is it, Leslie? When I become a man, I'm gonna buy you a big, beautiful home just like this. Oh, you don't have to do this. I said, I know, but you didn't have to adopt us either. And you did. And so I'm here with you because of 2 women. One gave me life, the other one gave me love. God took me out of my biological mother's womb and placed me in the heart of my adopted mother. And because of her example and my love for her and the passion that I felt in my heart, I've got to do something to make her proud. I've got to do something to put myself in position to be able to take care of her. That drove me. Nietzsche said, if you know the why for living, you can endure almost anyhow.
life is a fight for territory. And once you stop fighting for what you want, what you don't want will automatically take over. Give you an example. 27 years ago, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer.
27 years ago, my gosh.
Yeah, fourth stage cancer. And fourth stage prostate cancer, my PSA was 2,400. And so Dr. Alfred Golson said, Mr. Brown, you have fourth stage cancer. I said, I do? He said, yes. And it's metastasized to 7 areas of your body and it's eaten 43% of your T1 vertebrae. I said, whoa. He said, why are you smiling? Did you hear what I just said? I said, yeah. He said, why are you smiling? I said, man, 7 is my lucky number. I was born February the 17th. Joshua marched around the walls of Jericho 7 times. Naaman dipped himself in the River Jordan 7 times. 7 is my lucky number. He looked at his nurse and said, this is a strange one. So I said, can you give me a second opinion? He said, yes. And you're ugly too. You just called me ugly, but you didn't go there. He said, you're ugly. Crazy. He said, but you got this. You got this. I don't tell patients that they're terminally ill. What I say is my knowledge and my ability and my skills have terminated. Now you and God figure this out. He determines the prognosis. You got this. And as a result, how people live their lives, as you know, is a result of the story they believe about themselves. He interrupted my story, and I left there with a heart full of faith, not a heart full of fear. Zig said, most people in a fearful situation, they forget everything and run. But there are a small number, the road to life is straight and narrow, few there be that find it, who face everything and rise.
Because you made it this far in a video, I want to celebrate you. Most people start and don't finish. Most people never actually follow through. Most people say they want something, but they don't ever do the work to actually get it. But you are different. You are special. Believe Nation, you made it here all the way to the end, and I love you. So as a special celebration, if you put a hashtag believe down in the comments below on this video, I will showcase you and celebrate you somewhere on the screen in a future video because you are awesome. If you want some amazing Eric Thomas motivation, check the video right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
And many of you are taking anything because you don't know what you want. And so if I can do one thing for you when you leave this room, I don't want nothing from you but for you to leave this room and know what you want. What do you want in your marriage? What do you want